We got Dan here. We got J-Mac there. NFL Live will be in Pittsburgh tomorrow. That's where we find NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiyah, who's joining us for the entirety of the show. What's up, DJ? How you doing?
Guys.
I know you guys think I'm back in San Diego. Trust me, it really is Pittsburgh. It is absolutely perfect and beautiful here. So when you come, don't let Orlovsky ruin the weather. It's perfect as it is right now.
Yeah, I've already taken shots. We've been trying to do a show together for like 6 years.
Right.
Yeah. Finally getting in it. We're 30 seconds in.
That means he knows you well.
I was going to say, he knows exactly what to do. We're going to put DJ to work here today, that incredible draft brain on all of this. And let's begin with the Jets, because I think we all agree that's where the draft really starts. We know what's going to happen at 1, most likely with Fernando Mendoza, but the Jets had the 2nd and 16th picks in the upcoming draft. They need help. They need lots of it. Their 15-season playoff drought continued last season as they became the first team in the Super Bowl era without a single interception and the first team to play 16 games without a 400-yard receiver. New York's been linked to many. Ohio State's Arvell Reese. They did cancel their top 30 draft visit with Texas Tech's David Bailey last week. However, Jets GM Darren Muge spoke earlier today about not reading too much into all that. Here's what he said.
With top 30s, every team uses them differently and has different ways of using that mechanism. Some don't even use the top 30s at all, right? I would say for us, when we do top 30s, every single player and case is different. Sometimes I want this player to meet with our player engagement department. Sometimes I want this player to meet with our sports performance. Sometimes it's purely medical. Sometimes it's a recruiting process. Sometimes it's a smoke screen. And in regards to David, we had good touch points with him at the Combine. We went to his pro day, had a good dinner with him, and we were just kind of juggling our 30 and how to use them, and I wouldn't look too much into a cancellation because there was other ones that we may have changed as well.
All right, so we're reading into everything right now, but don't read into that. DJ, what do you believe the Jets should do with the number 2 pick?
Yeah, to me, what they should do is take David Bailey. And I wouldn't read too much into that, the fact that he didn't take the visit either. He's a very clean player. You're not worried about it from a character standpoint, from a medical standpoint, and they already visited with him in person. To me, this is a polished, productive edge rusher. What he's going to be asked to do in the NFL, you've already seen him do it at a very high level at college, and he's done it over several seasons now. So that's the one that makes the most sense to me. And also, when you look at Denver, where your general manager just came from, those 2 edge rushers were absolute fastballs in Benito and Cooper. Now you've got Will McDonald, and you put another player in Bailey on the opposite side. You got 2 fastballs yourself.
Yeah, guys that can produce right away. There's just something about Arvell Reese that I love, and I think it's the versatility that he brings to the table. For Aaron Glenn, you're trying to implement a defense with as much talent as possible coming off a year ago where they weren't able to get an interception, what we talked about. Having a guy like Arvell Reese that can do multiple things, that you can line up anywhere, to me helps so many other guys on the defensive side of the ball. How do you get your best 11 on the football field? If you can move a guy around to best suit somebody else, it helps him to go out there and be an impact player and also be a leader on your defense. So there's just something about his ability and what he showed playing in a pro-style defense in college for Matt Patricia, the kind of intelligence that it takes to do all of those different things.
Is this a little bit, DJ, like the Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker conversation? Because I'm thinking Aaron Glenn, he comes from Detroit, obviously Hutch. Years before that, he was in New Orleans, Cam Jordan, true defensive end. And I look at Bailey and I go, the track record of production. I look at Arvell Reese and I agree with like the potential, but 7 sacks in his college career, I understand off the ball. But DJ, is it a little bit like that where it is I know what I'm getting now versus long-term projection?
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's the way it was phrased. I remember in that draft, it was like, okay, you've got the athletic one in Walker, and then you've got the polished pass rusher in Hutchinson. Hutchinson was an excellent athlete as well. Just as David Bailey ran 4.5 flat, like he's an elite athlete as well. So to me, both those players ended up being great players. And I think we're in a very similar boat here where I don't know there's a wrong decision, but to me, this feels like Bailey is more, we can't screw this up if we're the Jets. Like that's a little bit safer. Let's put this thing in the fairway, and that's why I lean in that direction.
I like that analogy. Safe for the Jets makes sense, especially at that level of talent. Now, Dan, the Jets also had the 16th pick plus 2 second-round picks this year and 3 first-round picks next year. So when you think about this in totality, when do you think they should address the quarterback position?
Obviously, I believe that 16 has to be a conversation with Ty Simpson. I know that everyone knows that I'm a Ty Simpson fan and believer. And I would just say the two things in regards to the if we don't go quarterback at 16 because we're going to wait till 2027. One, two of those first-round picks that you have out of the three are going to be teams that are going to be very much so playoff contending teams in Indy and Dallas. So I don't know how much ammunition that's going to give you. The second thing, and this is the Jets and all you teams that are sitting there going, we'll wait for the 27 class. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but we're also talking about Cleveland maybe waiting for 27, needing a quarterback, Atlanta, Minnesota, Miami, Arizona, Pittsburgh. I could hear the conversation of a potential with Houston, Carolina, depending on how their quarterbacks play. So unless you have the first or second pick next year, waiting for the 2027 class is not going to guarantee you a good player because there's a chance that 8 or 9 teams need bona fide starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, Dan, the interesting thing to me is I was talking to a coach with a young quarterback and went through the process of how they selected him and why they selected him. And he said, look, there's only a handful of guys in this league, as you guys know. They're going to be able to pull the rest of the team, those trucks that can pull the whole team behind them. So for the rest of them, we need to build this thing up so that when we do select that quarterback, that he's got a fighting chance.
Sure.
And when I look at this Jets roster right now, there's still other holes to fill. And personally, I believe they're going to use those first 3 picks this year to lay more of that foundation so that whoever they pick next year, you know, whoever that ends up being, is going to have a fighting chance. So that provided a little more clarity to me of the process of getting to when you take that quarterback.
It's interesting. You think about what DJ's talking there, building some depth, building some key pieces around a quarterback. The Jets are the only team with 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So they have the capital to do it this season. Yeah. And it does seem like a lot of teams are looking for a quarterback next year. You mentioned the Browns. New on NFL Live, Browns head coach Todd Monken spoke about the quarterback reps on day 1 of their offseason program.
We were just rotating who was first reps. Shedeur to start. There were some other reps. The way it was going to turn out, Shedeur was going to get more reps, some of it in pass Kelly, some of it in team. A couple of the team periods were slowed down ACT, more run than they were throw. So it was set up in a way for us to get a look at all of them. The plan was to have Shedeur have a few more reps, but to let Deshaun and Shedeur both have reps with the ones.
All right, so he continues to toe the line there. We don't know who's getting the edge at quarterback for the Browns. That's okay. The Browns are another team with 2 first-round picks. They have picks 6 and 24 on Thursday. They can certainly use some help on offense. Cleveland ranked last in total QBR last season, and their quarterbacks were pressured on a league worst, 39% of dropbacks. Opponents hit the QB over a quarter of the time as well. That's not good. DJ, what would a successful night for the Browns look like on Thursday with these 2 first-round picks?
Well, Laura, first of all, they had a huge to-do list in the offseason. When you got to replace the entire offensive line, you don't see that happen very often. Now, they've filled a lot of those holes, but there's still one left at left tackle. So, to me, tackle's got to be one of these 2 picks. And when you look at the way this draft's going to unfold, I'd much rather be sitting at pick 24, their second pick, wishing and hoping for a receiver, but willing to live with it if the guy we like's not there. I would not want to be sitting there at 24, wishing and hoping and praying that one of these tackles gets to me. So to me, the order is important. I think you get that tackle in the boat at 6. Maybe you want to get cute and trade back a little bit and take 1, 10, 11, 12. I wouldn't go too far. I want to get that last piece of that offensive line in place.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think those first 2 round picks should be tackle and wide receiver. I'll go along kind of what DJ was just intimating with the Jets. Okay, if the Browns want to truly gauge what Shedeur Sanders is, and if I were the Browns, Shedeur would have my first crack to be the starting quarterback. Agreed. Unless you improve the protection and the perimeter skill players, you're not going to get a true evaluation nor a fair evaluation. So if quarterback's not into the conversation for them, I think left tackle absolutely. And they have Jerry Jeudy, nice player, but he's not a burner. So I think there has to be something of a vertical element at that wide receiver spot at 24. Now, who's available has to be a part of the equation, but you've got to improve the ability for the quarterback to get people open or find people that could get open. So left tackle and wide receiver should be their first 2 rounders.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to say those 2 positions, and I'm not going to disagree with you guys at all. I look at it as, are they going to trade? And to what DJ said, how far back do they do? If they do that, when you talk about getting a wide receiver, to me, the explosiveness on the offense has to change. Harold Fan and their tight end seem to be their best weapon week in and week out, and he's a really good player at that tight end position. But to your point, Jerry Jeudy was at the top of the league in drop passes. They have to get somebody reliable on the outside. So I think speed is, or maybe a Denzel Boston, a guy that you can put out there and absolutely rely on if you're looking later on in that first round.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see, like, if anybody drops, that gives them the opportunity to trade back. Does Washington want to get up? Do the Chiefs want to get up?
Casey Concepcion. Sorry, excuse me.
I love it,
Sorry, I
DJ.
just coughed there. Sorry about that.
I like that. Casey Concepcion. That's my Jalen Waddle. That's my Jalen Waddle.
He made that comp yesterday, and I think it's really good. By the way, Cleveland has used 3 different starting quarterbacks 4 times in the last 5 seasons. We all know they need help there. Now on to a developing story. Patriots coach Mike Vrabel met with the media on Tuesday for the first time since pictures surfaced earlier this month showing the coach with NFL reporter Diana Russini at a luxury hotel in Arizona. Both denied that the photos represented anything inappropriate. Russini has since resigned from her job with The Athletic in the fallout from all of those photos. And here's what Vrabel had to say today about the situation.
I've had some difficult conversations with people that I care about, with my family, the organization, the coaches, the players. Those have been positive and productive. You know, we believe in order to be successful on and off the field, you have to make good decisions. That includes me. That starts with me. We never want our actions to negatively affect the team. We never want to be the cause of a distraction. You know, and those are comments and questions that I've answered for the team and with the team. We'll keep those private and, you know, to ourselves. Care deeply about this football team, and I'm excited to coach them. I also know that I'm going to attack each day with humility and focus. And what I can promise you is that my family, this organization, the team, the staff, the coaches, everybody, our fans, most importantly, will get the best version of me going forward. And that's what I know, and I'm excited to do that. But I wanted to just address this and thank you for your patience in dealing with the private and personal matter.
The Patriots are in the building for their off-season program that started yesterday. They have the 31st pick in Thursday's draft, coming off their trip to the Super Bowl. We've got more coming your way. Tell you that Fernando Mendoza was good last year, but here's a look at exactly how dangerous he was, especially on the deep ball. Completed over 50% of his passes, thrown 20-plus yards downfield with a perfect 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Both those marks ranked second in FBS, and he ranked top 10 in fourth-quarter QBR as well. We saw some of that right in his big fourth-quarter comebacks. Dan, what stood out to you as you've watched the tape on Mendoza?
Yeah, I wanted to get into this with DJ and J-Mac. So in those 4, like, pivotal comebacks, you go to the on-the-road Iowa game, fourth-quarter game-winning drive, on-the-road Penn State, the Heisman kind of moment, Big Ten title, and then obviously the national title. Feather in the cap, no doubt, makes big plays at the end of the game, comebacks. Yeah. But in the first 6 drives of those 4 wins, right, so roughly the first 3 quarters of each of those games, the production just wasn't that good. So, yes, the feather in the cap, tip of the hat, like, yes, the clutch happens. But if you look at it, not many – can we throw that graphic up real quick? Like, not many explosive plays, not a lot of touchdowns. Like, if you look at that, 8 sacks, 3 explosive plays over the course of 25-plus possessions or drives. And so I wanted to ask DJ, like, how do you evaluate that with the understanding, like, yes, great comeback wins, but also that lack of production in those games that just wasn't there?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd much rather have him finish well than start well. Sure. So I would say start there. That's a very good thing. The other thing I would say is every team has a formula to win games. I think we would all agree Cignetti is an unbelievable coach. He's a smart guy, and he knew their formula to win games. Now, we're getting ready to have this draft, guys. It's 3 days. I don't think we're going to see an Indiana offensive lineman get drafted. Now, Coogan could go late, talking about like a 6th, 7th round pick or a priority free agent. And they're going up against a Miami team with those 2 warriors up front. Ohio State, who's got 3 guys who are playing up front, they're going to go in the first round, and then you add Styles into that, or you add Downs into that mix as well. you talk about the Oregon game, that whole D-line came back. Congrats to Dan Lanning on that one. They were at such a talent deficit that to me it was, we're going to run the ball. We're not going to lose the game. We're not going to screw it up. And then, Fernando, you got to make some plays late in these games for us to win. And to me, that was their formula, and I thought he executed it extremely well.
It's interesting to hear, like, that perspective, because
it shows how much was on Fernando Mendoza's shoulders.
Game. You know, it's also a little bit, and Daniel and I have talked about this, number 2 defense in the country, so it keeps him in the game. It's just like how, what's your perspective from a defensive guy in that?
That's exactly what I was going to give you. So I played 13 years in the NFL. It wasn't until I got to New England with Brady that I would sit on a bench during a 2-minute drill and have all the confidence in the world that my quarterback under center was going to drive us down the field and get whether we needed a touchdown or whether we needed a field goal. But the utmost confidence that was going to happen. So to me, when you point out Mendoza in the fourth quarter, in those moments is where he plays his absolute best football.
He did. Like, there's no question.
As a defender, I'll rock with you because we can figure it out throughout the course of those 3 quarters of what we need to get it done. But I need you in those crucial moments to come up big for us because it's the only shot we have to win the game.
I realize we're talking about like being clutch and some of those things. There's skill set that plays into that. Doesn't that translate well to the NFL? Like somebody who has done that at the college level, at the highest level, in the biggest stages.
Absolutely. In those games, like respectfully, it's on the road at Iowa, a tough place to play.
Right.
On the road against Penn State after he throws an interception. So, you know, I don't want to like speak out both sides of my mouth because I do want to like understand and respect and give thumbs up like the comebacks. But when I look at it and I go number 1 pick, I just have reservation that, and I get Daniel's point, I do, of the style of the play, and I know he's talked about Justin Herbert and a little bit of how Oregon wanted to play with him. I just struggle to watch some of that tape and being like, why so good late and so pedestrian for the chunk of the game?
Well, DJ, let's spin it forward a little bit to what Kubiak may want to do with him in that system and how you think that translates based off of what you've seen on tape.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I've seen, and Dan's talked about this, you know, in terms of the under center stuff, that's going to be an adjustment. I personally think it's an adjustment for all these quarterbacks. I think Ty Simpson had 50 snaps under center. Mendoza had 11. You know, none of these guys play under center in college. So there's going to be an adjustment period there. But when I go back and watch Sam Darnold last year in this offense, and I watch all those 3rd and 7+ throws, they emptied it out a lot in the gun. There was a lot of quick throws. There was working the perimeter, a lot of out routes. That stuff he's going to be extremely comfortable with. Just got to be a little bit patient with some of the stuff they ask him to do under center, but that's why they have a plan. They went out and got Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have to rush onto the field. It feels weird to say this, but I think the Raiders have made all the right moves to set the groundwork here for him to have a chance to be successful. It's been a while since we could say that about the Raiders, guys, but I think they've done this thing the right way.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially when it comes to the O-line. I mean, Linderbaum to me was like the biggest signing possible in free agency for anybody. All right, so we know that Mendoza's going to go number 1 overall. Time now for some quick reads. He's expected to go number 1, but I want to know who your favorite prospects are in this draft. This is fun. DJ, start us off. Who do you like the most?
Yeah, I'm going to go to that Ohio State defense and Sonny Styles. And when you think about the way the game's played right now, I think he's perfect. You want to have an athletic quarterback? Well, he can run him down sideline to sideline. You want to try and throw the ball in those windows? I've got a condor at the 2nd level you're going to have to navigate around. Oh, by the way, you want me to blitz? Go back and watch the 24 tape and see what I do there. So to me, I think he's a perfect defender for the way football's played right now.
I'm going to go to, everyone would probably think quarterback. I'm going ex-quarterback. Tight end Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt, who is an ex-quarterback. I think everything athletically for him is very easy and very natural. I think the catchability, just how naturally he catches the football, is a big deal. Now, yes, is he going to have to get better with being more physical? Sure. And he's going to have to get better with probably the nuance of route running? Absolutely. But I look at the size of 6'4", 240, the ex-quarterback with the intelligence and just the natural athleticism. I love this player.
I'm going to go with Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety out of Toledo. This is a guy that attacks the football. Whether it's up in the air or you're running with it, he's going to punch it out. He's an excellent communicator. You see that on the film every single snap, playing in that too high. Then he has something with the safety position that I love to see. He's not afraid to run into darkness. You come in there in the phone booth, he's running straight in there and he's putting a hit on you. He's a guy that I love watching on film and I think is going to translate well in the league.
Oh, you are speaking my language, J-Mac. To me, this is one of my favorite players in the draft. He's my 15th overall player. But I'm telling you, talking to teams the last few days, I think he's going to keep the tradition alive. He's going to slide to the second round, and this league's going to do the same thing. Branch fell to the second round, shouldn't have fallen to the second round. Cooper DeJean fell to the second round, shouldn't have fallen to the second round. We know Emanwari last year fell to the second round. I think that happens again this year. So the last two guys I mentioned, they just won the Super Bowl. So congrats to whoever takes McNeil Warren on their Super Bowl trophy next year.
Guys, too bad Hawk's not here right now.
I know. We don't need Hawk trying to tell
Toledo love.
We don't need that. We don't need that.
I love the Toledo love. I'm surprised.
You said run to darkness.
Yeah, and ready to
Quarterbacks don't know about that.
He definitely doesn't.
Orlovsky wasn't
Cam
running.
Newton does. Cam probably not scared.
Aaron Rodgers runs to darkness. That's one quarterback that knows about it.
I love it, TJ. By the way, Dan, your favorite player, I thought you were going to say Ty Simpson. You didn't say him, but that's because three lines of the pre-draft process. Daniel Jeremiyah has him ranked as his second best quarterback and the 36th ranked overall prospect. Dan Orlovsky hopping into the virtual world to talk more about the Alabama quarterback.
Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson is expected to be the second quarterback off the board in the 2026 NFL Draft, and he showed plenty of potential in his only college season as a starter. Simpson is surgical when he's in rhythm, which he was through early November of 2025. Simpson had 21 touchdown passes to only 1 interception in his first 9 games. That was the third best ratio in the FBS up to that point of the season. Simpson has fast eyes down the field in the chunk pass game and throws with great trajectory to different levels. His 49 completions of at least 15 yards downfield were tied for 6th in the nation and more than Fernando Mendoza. The Alabama quarterback is courageous with the football, but he simply doesn't throw interceptions. He has the lowest percent of passes intercepted by any power conference quarterback in the last decade, just ahead of 2020 top overall pick Joe Burrow. Whoever drafts Ty Simpson will have to get him experience and protection. The team that does that will have a quarterback you can win a lot of games with.
All right, DJ, I don't know if you've heard this. Dan Orlovsky is a fan of Ty Simpson. What is your evaluation of him as a prospect at the next level, though?
Well, look, I went to the podiatrist, and my podiatrist asked me about that relationship between Orlovsky and Ty Simpson. So I know it's well established that that's his guy. Now, look, I'll start first of all. I've had a chance to talk with him on the phone. Exactly. He's a great dude. He's impressive when you talk to him. So you can see how he would be impressive with teams when he gets a chance to visit with him. I had an old quarterback coach a million years ago. He used to always challenge quarterbacks. How smooth can you be? How smooth can you be in your setup? How smooth is your release? Like he is teaching tape for how he sets up in the pocket, quick feet. He's got a real nice delivery. The ball comes out well. Dan talked about those, the trajectory, the layering of the ball. He does that exceptionally well. Anticipation, accuracy, all there. Now, when it comes to the concerns, we'll put the starts to the side for a second. To me, it's the size that bothers me. I think some guys, even when they're undersized, play big. I thought when he had bodies around and the ball ended up on the ground, you had the 7 fumbles. It felt like the field kind of shrunk on him. He got tossed around a little bit too much. So that, to me, was one of the concerns, is just how is that size going to play over a full NFL season? Wherever he goes, in my opinion, he does need to get a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I agree with that, DJ, with the size thing. And kind of the understanding of where he's in the pocket and in the strength, and I think a little bit of the injury. I wanted to talk to you. I did want to talk about the starts, okay? So, because I understand the starts, and if we look at the guys that have been drafted in the first round with less than 20 starts, I wanted to talk to you about starts versus age, okay? So if you look at over to the right side, Anthony Richardson, 20, Trey, 20, Mac Jones, 22, Kyler, 21, Dwayne Haskins, 21, Trubisky, 22. So Trubisky and Mac Jones are the two that were 22 at a minimum. Everybody else around 20 or 21 years old. Ty Simpson's 23. He's going to be 24, I believe, in December. Does that change for you or make you look at the starts different because he's 2 years older than those guys, or does that not matter at all?
Well, I think the two guys he would compare there are Mac Jones and Trubisky, which are the two that are a little bit older. I remember Trubisky, when I looked it up, he turned 23 4 months after that draft. So I don't think there's a big difference there. And those stylistically, he fits in more. Like Anthony Richardson was just kind of a freak show athlete, and you're betting on that it's all going to come together. To me, Dan, I still go back to the starts. You know, I look at the two guys. If you look at quarterbacks, like in families, what style of quarterback is he, and what would he be if he was successful? I would say Purdy, and I would say Mayfield. Those would be the two guys. And when you look at them, Purdy was 47 starts, Mayfield was 46 starts, because they're going to have to win the game with their brain. So to have more experiences to rely on, I think that's important. And to me, that's why I like him a lot as a player. I just value that. I value that risk. I take that into account. And that's why, to me, it's the top of the second round. If you want to get in the back of one to get the extra year, I'm good with that. But up there in the top 15, 16, the starts thing to me is a real deal.
As you guys talk about the starts and you talk about Ty Simpson, from your perspective, as you watch quarterbacks, and DJ said it, Anthony Richardson at the top of that list, a lot of what people were believing in him was the athleticism. When you're looking at these quarterbacks and you're evaluating them, when you talk about teaching tape, accuracy, anticipation, do those traits you feel like translate a little bit better? So, yes, you may have limited starts, but the things that you're really good at in those limited starts, I feel like will translate well, opposed to athleticism when everybody's a little bit more at this level.
For me, the number one thing that I believe transfers from college to the NFL is, can you see it and can you throw it? That's the number one thing. And I am of the belief that all over his tape is the ability to see it and throw it. I think I have two examples of him getting fooled by coverages. One against Vanderbilt on 4th down, and one against Georgia in the SEC title game when he throws a pick. Other than that, I see him going through reads quickly. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, DJ, and J-Mac, I fell in love with him in many ways. The player was, I see stuff that guys are running on Sundays, and maybe this is a flaw of mine, Baker Mayfields and Matthew Staffords and Jordan Loves and Brock Purdy's. I see them running the concepts, and then I see him running things similarly and operating it similarly and making the right throw. You know me, I say it, I don't like this guy can make all the throws. Don't care. Make the right throw at the right time. I think he does that all the time on his tape.
As you illustrated at the beginning, Simpson had a below 1% career interception rate. That's an Alabama record. We've talked about it before, too. They didn't have a run game. There were a lot of things about that offense that were not in Ty Simpson's favor, and you could explain away some of the issues there. We're going to dive into him so much more when we get to the draft, so there's a lot more coming away. Reminder, too, that we have 2-hour shows on Thursday and Friday.
Dan's not done, Laura?
There's so much more, DJ.
Hey,
that was not a love fest.
Just wait,
welcome,
that
DJ.
was like,
just wait.
DJ, that was like a little love note.
I think you do a lot of mock drafts now, big guy.
There's going to be a lot more coming. He lays it on thick. Okay, DJ, Mendoza and Simpson, your top two quarterbacks. But how does the rest of your top five shake out when it comes to the position of quarterback?
Yeah, to me, it's a couple big guys. To me, you start with Beck. The way he finished up, look, the questions with him about personality, maturity, more so than the skill set. He's got all that. So to me, I think he's intriguing from that standpoint as a day 2 pick. Then you get to Drew Allar. Look, it did not go well. It did not trend the right direction towards the end of his career. But you go back and watch him a little bit younger. You can see the flashes that can get you excited. He's been impressive with the teams. He's wired the right way. He's a sharp, smart kid. He's got to clean up some footwork. But he would be next. And then let's go to another son of a coach, Ty Simpson, the son of a coach. How about Nussmeier at LSU? Again, played much better in 24. He was healthier than what we saw this year, but finished it up strong at the Senior Bowl. So you like to see that. I think he's in that 3rd, 4th round range, but someone who I do believe has some starter upside, some starter traits.
DJ, quick question. For these guys that are like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round quarterbacks, do you still look at them the same way you would the early round quarterback, the 1st round quarterback? Is it still the potential, the projection, the productivity? Like, do you view them in the same way or evaluate?
To me, I'd be a little more willing to gamble on upside the further on you go. To me, I'm not quite that risky early on. Later on, I'll take a shot on a guy.
That makes sense. That's a good way to operate. Hey, new on NFL Live, by the way, our Colts reporter Stephen Holder, Colts head coach Shane Steichen says quarterback Daniel Jones is back to throwing and is performing dropbacks as well. Another step forward in his comeback from a torn Achilles back on December 7th. Steichen also added the Colts anticipate him being ready for training camp. Great news for the Colts. I think that's maybe a little quicker than we thought. From NFL Network, he's been with us all show. Fun to have our teammate with us. And it's time for a round of Ask DJ, where we're going to ask anything we want about the draft. So I get to go first. Who are a couple of teams, DJ, that may be looking to trade up in the draft on Thursday night? We've heard about teams that want to trade back, but what about teams that want to trade up?
Well, the first one's easy, Laura, because I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints and Mickey Loomis. If you want to look at track records, I don't know what this says, but when you go back to 2008, he's made 25 draft day trades. He's gone up 25 times. He's gone back 0 times. So his card does not work in reverse. So that would be the first one. The second one I would keep an eye on is the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie's got picks, how he's aggressive. The Detroit Lions staring at everybody in the whole league as a tackle team with that pick. If Howie Roseman wants a tackle, he knows where he needs to go to get one.
Let me ask you about a prospect that maybe somebody's trying to move up to get. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end. He reminds me of one of my old teammates, Delaney Walker. Which team do you think would be a perfect fit for him to go and flourish?
Well, I like that comp. To me, I look at the Baltimore Ravens, J-Mac. They lost 2 guys. You know, Kolar's more of the blocker. He goes out to the Chargers. Isaiah Likely, though, that athletic weapon in the middle of the field that played so well off Andrews, he follows John Harbaugh to the Giants. So Kenyon Sadiq going there with Lamar Jackson. They kind of have a track team on the perimeter, and he would add, you know, as one of the elite and fastest tight ends in the entire league, would be a fun fit for Lamar Jackson.
All right, DJ, educate us a little bit on the draft. So, in my understanding, the draft originated to acquire talent, right? And the way that the NFL draft is set up is the bad teams get the good players, the good teams get the less good players, right? Parity of the NFL. If this is a draft that a lot of people think there isn't a ton of great high-end talent, why is there such an issue with taking the best player in the draft, Jeremiyah Love, top 3? Why, if that's the premise of the draft, to get the bad teams better players, why is there such a talking point around it?
Well, that's a great question. It's a key question in this draft. But to me, when you look at teams and what they're equipped to do when bringing a running back into their building, are you equipped to reveal all that talent, or are you going to conceal all that talent? Because we saw it concealed in Vegas last year. Now, Jeremiyah Love's on another level than Genty, in my opinion, but that's part of the calculus. The other thing you can't run away from, Dan, is the money aspect and the positional value of what you'd have to spend in free agency at other positions. If we went to the park to play football, Jeremiyah Love's the first pick. But last I checked, there's no salary cap at the park.
I just struggle with, and I understand it, and obviously this is like your wheelhouse, like the value conversation and the salary conversation when bad teams are drafting or teams are drafting early because they don't have enough good players. And so I understand, like, you're trying to get the right value in the finance, but I think that gets teams in trouble, in my opinion, is they're searching for the right need or fit or value. And it's like, we passed on this player because we thought this player was going to bring us more value, even though that player, Jeremiyah Love, became the better player.
Yeah, but you also have to be comfortable, Dan, of recognizing where you are as a team and be able to say in the draft room, and the good teams do this, look, this guy's going to go somewhere else and he's going to be great. We can't showcase him and all of his abilities with where we are right now. So he can be the right pick for someone else and not the right pick for us, even if he's a great player. That's part of the conversation. Now, free of charge, Dan, this one's yours. If Arizona takes Jeremiyah Love and then trades back up for Ty Simpson, you need to go on TV and say, this is LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees. Take it to the bank. Yes. I'm going all in on this thing. That's yours. It's all yours.
Clip this off, guys.
There we go.
And use it. DJ, I like the fact that you brought up Vegas last year with Ashton Genty. Now, we look at the top 5. You just mentioned Arizona. Let's look at Tennessee at 4 and the Giants at 5. If one of those teams draft him, do you think that will be a similar situation to Vegas where it's going to be a struggle to really showcase what Ashton Genty can do? Or do you think those teams are a little bit in a different situation than Vegas was a year ago?
Yeah, I still think there's some pieces that need to be put in place for the teams picking 3, 4, and 5 to be able to really showcase him. I just think about these young quarterbacks, though, and how tempting it would be because he's going to give you easy completions. He's more accomplished in the passing game than Genty. So that, to me, is how you would justify it and make it work.
I wish we could do this for longer. Unfortunately, our show is over, but we will see you in Pittsburgh, DJ. Thanks so much for being with us. NFL Live comes your way Wednesday, Thursday.